Watch out, episode 14, part 2 is now here. And the last time I was at the spot, it was dark, my phone ran out of storage, and for this video, I decided not to review, and I decided to say, you know what, I'm just gonna let things go, alright? I'm just going to speak what comes to my mind, or even just what my heart says. I'm just gonna let my heart, I remember when Kobe Bryant had that funeral, and I watched some videos on that, alright? Rest in peace. LeBron James, this was one of the most memorable things about this speech, about those speeches that night, is LeBron James well, I got something written down here, but you know what? I'm just gonna let it flow from the heart, and I'm gonna do the same thing right here, right now. And so, I left off on the last video because of my phone running out of storage, about how I could really get that scene of the Outlaw King and how Robert's father, he was crying, okay? And when he was crying, he's really just tears kind of flooding down his eyes, and it's not, I don't think he felt sad for the Scottish people. I think that can be a part of it, but I think he really felt sad for a friend he knew, like his brother in arms, that he did this for not the right reasons. And in fact, the movie does correlate with history in a way as well, and even it correlates with Braveheart as well, with Edward Longshanks, okay? And Edward Longshanks is this cruel, it was described in the movie Braveheart, is a cruel pagan and all of that stuff, and I think they portrayed Edward really good, the Hammer of the Scots, but I don't really want to go too much into this notion of Edward and what a malice guy, what an evil guy, because this video is not about that stuff, okay? I know there is definitely evil out there in the world, okay? And the way I believe to really fight the notion of evil, or to even overcome the notion of evil, is everyday folk doing good deeds, okay? Right? And also knowing where the individual, for me, me personally, knowing where I'm at in my life, okay, and trying, and also doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do and make the world a better place. And this was a big point of my video last night, was about how I think evil people can go to, not just evil, I don't even want to say evil people, because I was talking about insecurities, I was talking about a lot of stuff, okay? I was talking about sometimes when people are really down and in a dark place, they go to things that fulfill them, okay? And when I say that, I'm talking about it not in a good way, but I'm talking about things as very crutch-like. For example, only if I got this shuffleboard, I would be happy. Right? Or only if I got another jacket, alright, I would be happy. Right? And that's not really the case. And usually, in fact, actually, clinical depression is that way, okay? That's another interesting thing about clinical depression, and I think that's why it's extremely hard to diagnose, because clinical depression, or depression, works in the regard that, okay, I'm so depressed, I'm so miserable, and what's going to fulfill me? What's going to make me really, really happy, and what do I need to make me happy? Alright, I've got it. Alright? I've got it. I know what it is, okay? You know what? Friends, that will make me happy. oh, you know what? More money, that will make me happy, okay? Right? So with that being said, well, and in that case, the individual, if the person is not treated for depression, the individual would go to not the right type of people to be friends with, all right? Or even with the notion of money, they can go to a casino and start gambling all the money they have out of there, so on and so forth, right? And that's really the point I want to talk to, kind of, I guess, the point I did want to get across, okay? All right. And last night I mentioned this notion about Brian and how I'm moving on. And a part of my healing journey, and I loved the symbolism of last night, of that it was dark outside, it was nighttime, and here I am now in the daytime, and I'm still working to that morning. I'm still working to that daytime, because even though that, with this Brian scenario, it does still, I don't want to say it's like a dark spot in my life, but it is a little bit, like a lot of my life is full of light, okay, or the concept of light. But there's that little bit of a dark spot, okay, in there, okay, right? But morning's coming on it. Like, me being down here in Florida and seeing how I reacted, or kind of see how I'm doing in my life, is a very good sign for me as an individual person. And I was talking about the Outlaw King, so on and so forth, right? With that dynamic of how Robert the Bruce's dad was very sad, okay? And I talked about a little bit about Edward, and my point with that was that I don't think Robert the Bruce, or my interpretation of it, is that he wasn't sad for the Scottish people. That's partly, but I really believe that he was sad for Edward, all right? Because Edward did something that was not right, or he could have made the world a better place, but he chose not to, so on and so forth. And I don't want to lose myself in that dynamic, or really get into that dynamic. And I guess for me, I'm feeling the same way, I guess, with Brian. In some ways, I am mourning for the individual, all right, because the guy has used me. He's taken advantage of me. And, I cannot, if I said that didn't hurt me, I would be lying, and I wouldn't grow. But, it hurts. It does hurt me. But it also is teaching me another valuable lesson as well. So I took a walk. I took a walk back to the house after the video ran out of storage, and hashtag lovely pool. I don't think anyone is in here, so I'm gonna go in here and do a little walk around. So as I was